Imagine the lush green highways and misty coasts of the Pacific Northwest. Now picture the eerie silence that descends when someone simply vanishes into this wild landscape. A loved one missing, a trail running cold. This is the story of Charissa Hazel Grace Castor, known to family as Charissa and more recently to friends as Hazel Grace, whose 2024 disappearance has left her family and an entire community in Edmonds and Sequim, Washington, stunned, confused, and desperate for answers. In this episode, we'll piece together her life, the mystery, the search, and the heartbreak left behind. What happened to Charissa Hazel Grace Castor? Help us cover the cases of the many missing people. Please subscribe to this channel. Disclaimer: we are not healthcare or law enforcement professionals. Comments in this episode are based on our own research from the internet and other sources. We work hard for accuracy, but sometimes still make mistakes. You are free to disagree with our conclusions. Please comment. Charissa Lavelle Castor, later choosing the name Hazel Grace, was a 32-year-old psychiatric nurse with a reputation for compassion and a wild, free-spirited nature. Raised in Phoenix before living in Seattle, her journey took her through challenges that would resonate with many who have faced trauma and recovery. Friends described her as deeply spiritual, capable of bringing out joy and childlike wonder in others. She was close to her family in Kansas City, especially her 3 siblings, and was known for frequent daily contact, a detail that would make her sudden silence all the more alarming. But Charissa was also battling turmoil. She was open about her struggles with bipolar disorder, occasionally experiencing psychotic episodes, especially under stress or abuse. Her desire for transformation and healing was evident in her decision to change her name to Hazel Grace, which friends theorized was either an attempt to escape her past or a sign of an evolving identity. Her professional life as a psychiatric nurse added complexity to her character. She was both caregiver and, at times, a patient herself. This dual reality set the stage for what would become her last known days. The lead-up to Charissa's disappearance was marked by growing danger and visible distress. In early July 2024, she ended a relationship with her boyfriend Henry, whom multiple friends and family would later describe as abusive. The details that emerged were harrowing. She showed up at a friend's home, covered in bruises, dirt, twigs, physically and mentally deteriorated. Charissa confessed to this friend that she felt mentally lost, now at the edge of what her friend recognized as bipolar psychosis, precipitated by prolonged daily abuse. Charissa's friends, Ash, Tristan, Angie, and her mom Rachel, saw changes in her personality when she started dating Henry. She would only talk on the phone when Henry wasn't around. They would hear Henry in the background saying demeaning things to Charissa, but he would suddenly change his tone when he realized Charissa was on the phone with her mother. Before Charissa disappeared, she visited her hometown of Kansas City. Her friend Angie would learn that she was seeking natural methods of treating her bipolar disorder and was no longer taking her prescribed medication. She also confided in Angie that Henry's mom had pancreatic cancer, and he was angry that he couldn't help his mom recover. He would take his anger out on Charissa. Charissa shared images of bruises on her arm and scratches on her neck, allegedly by Henry's hands. Right before her disappearance, Rachel observed what she described as manic behavior from Charissa. Charissa was talking fast, and saying things like she needed to save the children and she needed to get money. She needed to go now. Seeking safety and validation, Charissa went to a local hospital and underwent a SANE, sexual assault nurse examiner, kit. Reports say she was connected with a social worker, a therapist, and started medication. Her situation was precarious, but she was at least reaching out for help. But not all signs pointed to hope. Charissa herself revealed to her grandmother the extent of her suffering, hinting at things so bad that she couldn't tell her family because it would really upset them. She told her grandmother not to worry, but those words, in hindsight, rang ominously. The decision to leave her friend's house, despite the support network rallying around her, was a fateful one. She mentioned plans to go camping with an acquaintance named Jaden, possibly as an escape or to clear her mind in nature. After she left, all communications from her went dead. Charissa is last seen by friends and family. Phone calls and text messages abruptly stop on July 18th. Not long after Charissa leaves her friend's home, her personal belongings are found scattered along a street in Edmonds, Washington, an affluent suburb north of Seattle. The items aren't detailed in public records, but their mere presence raises immediate alarms for those who know Charissa wouldn't willingly abandon her things. Law enforcement is alerted. The family, still in contact until recently, is shocked at the news. The finding of her belongings places her at Edmonds after she leaves her family's house. But what happened next is unclear. No witness steps forward to report seeing her distressed or being picked up. A few days later, Charissa's bright blue Honda CR-V is found abandoned roughly 50 miles away on Otter Way off River Road near Sequim, Washington, a small town on the Olympic Peninsula. The local sheriff reports that the vehicle had been sitting there for a week before discovery, loaded with all her belongings, her phone, the car key, camping equipment, and other items that someone planning to vanish might need, but which one would not expect to be left behind if she had planned to travel deeper into the woods or disappear deliberately. Sequim is a stark contrast to the urban energy of Edmonds. Surrounded by forests and trails, it's a place where someone could try to disappear, or be made to disappear. The last confirmed sighting of Charissa comes from a surveillance camera. Research into the origin of this video is unclear, but most sources cite it as being from surveillance cameras as opposed to cell phone footage or police body cameras. She is seen picking wildflowers near Sequim, alone, quiet, seemingly at peace, or perhaps in a fugue state. Captured after her car is abandoned, the footage shows no sign of distress or the presence of anyone else. This is the true end of the trail. Charissa, or Hazel Grace, is seen for the last time, then fades from view. All subsequent sightings, including unconfirmed reports in Port Townsend and the Sequim Forest, remain just that, unconfirmed. When a missing person's belongings are discovered under suspicious circumstances, law enforcement typically treats the case as urgent, at least initially, and Charissa's case was no different. The Edmonds Police Department opened an investigation, collaboration extending to the Clallam County Sheriff's Office, as her vehicle was discovered in their jurisdiction. Despite the initial effort, multiple members of her family and community vocally criticized law enforcement for letting the case go cold too quickly, especially after possible sightings in Sequim or Port Townsend weren't pursued energetically. Some suspects, especially her ex-boyfriend, were investigated, but without cause for arrest, police could not move forward with criminal charges. The lack of apparent violence or evidence of foul play at the vehicle site further complicated the investigation. Friends and family were left feeling that Charissa's status, as a woman with a mental health diagnosis fleeing domestic abuse, may have contributed to a less aggressive approach in the search. As time passed and tips dried up, official focus appeared to wane, with some in the community claiming the investigation had essentially stalled. So what happened to Charissa Hazel Grace? As we always say, we can't answer that question, but can shed some light on the subject. Carissa's final weeks were defined by fear of her ex-boyfriend. She expressed concern to multiple people about what he might do to her and pursued a rape kit at the hospital. Her friends insisted that her abuser drove her to the brink of mental collapse. Some suspected that, with her state deteriorating, someone, possibly her ex or another unknown party, used her vulnerability to harm her, then staged the sequence of events, dropping belongings, abandoning the car, ensuring she disappeared into the wilds unnoticed. When a person disappears, especially a female, the significant other is usually the first person to be suspected. Several of Carissa's friends stated that Henry was abusive. As stated earlier, Charissa would send pictures of bruises and scratches on her body. It is also known that Charissa had broken up with Henry and fled from his presence. This moment is especially dangerous for the victim, since a spurned and furious partner can become dangerously violent, even crossing the line into murder. This points directly to Henry. But there is no direct evidence, no witnesses, no signs of a struggle, no DNA or prints released publicly. No one has been charged in Carissa's disappearance. And then there is the final footage of Charissa picking flowers. There was no one seen or heard in the video except Charissa. You wouldn't expect a person under the threat of physical harm to be calmly picking flowers. Carissa's mother, friends, and even internet sleuths consider that her bipolar disorder, possibly combined with medication changes, trauma, and a desperate need to escape, caused a psychotic break. She may have purposefully gone off the grid, living rough in the wilds, or, worst case, succumbed to the elements if she wandered without adequate supplies. Her history of seeking wilderness escapes for reality checks supports this theory, and her last sighting, picking flowers, seemingly in her own world, fits this narrative. Yet, this theory struggles against the facts that she left all vital items behind and had always been in constant contact with her family until the moment of disappearance. A voluntary vanishing, especially one so permanent, seems unlike her prior behavior. Some point to her name change, from Charissa Castor to Hazel Grace, as a hint that she planned to start over, to erase her past and trauma and build a new life elsewhere. Could she have arranged for someone to pick her up and ferry her to a new existence? As we discussed in previous episodes, disappearing in the digital age is difficult. It's recommended that to disappear, all connections to online devices should be broken. This includes smartphones, tablets, and computers, which means not having any social media presence. This is impossible for most people. Also, to disappear, it is critical that a person not engage in any of the hobbies they previously enjoyed, as that is where authorities and loved ones would look for you. The lack of confirmed sightings, paper trail, or financial withdrawals makes this theory less plausible, but not impossible, given the dearth of definitive evidence. Finally, the Pacific Northwest is full of hazardous wilderness areas where someone in poor physical or mental health might perish without ever being found, especially with animals, rivers, and difficult terrain. Several comparable cases in Washington highlight how easily people can disappear, even in areas near development or roads. If you have any information about the disappearance of Charissa Hazel Grace Castor, please contact the Edmonds Police Department at 425-771-0200 or the Clallam County Sheriff's Office at 360-417-2262. Charissa Hazel Grace Castor is missing, but not forgotten. Help us get more coverage for missing people. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and see you soon.